Welcome back to the channel. In this deep dive news analysis, we explore a topic that's shaking the core of Zimbabwe's political structure, the quiet but powerful alliance between Vice President Constantino Chiwenga and Army General Valerio Sibanda. Both are decorated military leaders. Both served during the liberation struggle, and both have become the silent guardians of Zimbabwe's integrity. They've kept quiet in public, never openly criticizing President Mnangagwa, but their actions, their silence, and their alignment with the military and national values suggest something deeper is happening behind closed doors. This report investigates a possible future shift where Chiwenga and Sibanda could take a stand to remove Mnangagwa and reset Zimbabwe's political course. Let's go back in time. During the 1970s liberation struggle, Constantino Chiwenga and Valerio Sibanda were brothers in arms. They fought side by side in the Zimbabwe African National Liberation Army, ZANLA. Both were trained by Topple, military institutions outside Zimbabwe. Sibanda notably received training in Tanzania and Cuba. That wartime bond forged deep trust between the two men. Over the years, even as Zimbabwe transitioned to independence, they remained tightly connected within the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. This relationship laid the foundation for their mutual respect and coordinated decision-making. Today, Chiwenga is the vice president. Sibanda is the commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. Both command serious respect in the army and among veterans, and both are known for being disciplined, patient, and strategic. President Emmerson Mnangagwa came into power in 2017 through military intervention, an operation led by Chiwenga. It was supposed to be a new beginning for Zimbabwe, a clean break from the Mugabe era. But instead of reform and renewal, many believe Mnangagwa turned Zimbabwe into what critics call a criminal state. Corruption, looting, abuse of power, and cronyism have allegedly skyrocketed under his leadership. Gold smuggling cartels, land seizure syndicates, and political protection rackets have flourished. And yet, despite all this, Chiwenga and Sibanda remain silent in public. Why? Because they follow procedures. They understand the consequences of rash political moves. They know that Zimbabwe cannot afford another chaotic transition, but behind closed doors, sources say they are deeply concerned, especially with how Mnangagwa has handled national resources, used state police to suppress dissent, and protected corrupt elites. The Zimbabwe Republic Police, once respected for law enforcement, is now accused of being used as a weapon to intimidate protesters. Peaceful demonstrations against economic hardship or government failure are often met with brutal suppression. Under Mnangagwa's rule, the ZRP has lost public trust. Citizens no longer see the police as protectors, but as enforcers of a corrupt regime. The question now is, how long will the military, especially leaders like Sibanda, allow this misuse of state power to continue? What makes this situation more complex is that both Chiwenga and Sibanda are known for their anti-corruption values. Chiwenga has often spoken about restoring discipline and national pride. He understands the dangers of a corrupt state, especially one that fails to serve its soldiers, civil servants, and citizens. Sibanda is even more respected in this regard. Quiet and composed, he rarely speaks to the media. But within military circles, he is viewed as a man of integrity. He has reportedly blocked corrupt promotions, refused bribes, and maintained professionalism in the army. In private meetings, both men have allegedly discussed their disapproval of Mnangagwa's decisions, especially the rewarding of corrupt allies and the misuse of national institutions. This is the big question. Yes, Chiwenga and Sibanda can remove Mnangagwa, but only through a constitutional and procedural process. Another military coup would destroy Zimbabwe's credibility and investor confidence. However, if evidence of criminal behavior or national betrayal is presented, the military could legally step in, backed by public support, parliament, or even the courts. Some insiders believe that Chiwenga and Sibanda are waiting for the right moment, a tipping point when they can act in the name of national security and order. It won't be quick, it won't be loud, but it could be permanent. One scenario being discussed quietly is this. What if Army General Philip Valerio Sibanda replaces Kembo Mohadi as Zimbabwe's vice president? Mohadi, the current vice president, has a tainted reputation after past scandals and heath issues. He is sick. He has little public trust or political capital. Bringing Sibanda into the vice presidency would signal a shift toward integrity, discipline, and reform. It would also solidify the military's oversight over national policy, without needing a coup. This transition, if done peacefully, could create a stable path toward removing Mnangagwa before 2030. One scenario being discussed quietly is this. What if Army General Philip Valerio Sibanda replaces Kembo Mohadi as Zimbabwe's vice president? Mohadi, the current vice president, has a tainted reputation after past scandals and heath issues. He is sick. He has little public trust or political capital. Bringing Sibanda into the vice presidency would signal a shift toward integrity, discipline, and reform. It would also solidify the military's oversight over national policy, without needing a coup. This transition, if done peacefully, could create a stable path toward removing Mnangagwa before 2030. This is Zimbabwe's current power triangle. Mnangagwa holds political power but is weakened by corruption. Chiwenga has political and military influence and a strong grassroots reputation. Sibanda has moral authority, military loyalty, and international respect. Together, Chiwenga and Sibanda could shape Zimbabwe's next leadership, especially if the nation slips further into economic and social crisis. The two men are not just leaders, they are stabilizers. Ordinary Zimbabweans see the struggle. They live the consequences of bad governance, hunger, unemployment, currency collapse, and human rights abuse. The fear of protesting is real, but so is the hunger for justice. Many Zimbabweans still trust the army, not because of guns, but because of leaders like Chiwenga and Sibanda, who they believe will one day correct the national course. Ordinary Zimbabweans see the struggle. They live the consequences of bad governance, hunger, unemployment, currency collapse, and human rights abuse. The fear of protesting is real, but so is the hunger for justice. Many Zimbabweans still trust the army, not because of guns, but because of leaders like Chiwenga and Sibanda, who they believe will one day correct the national course. Yes, and here's how. If public outrage continues and international pressure rises, the ruling party might be forced to act. If ZANU-PF senses it could lose elections due to Mnangagwa's scandals, they may sideline him. Chiwenga, with Sibanda at his side, would be the natural successor, restoring order, pacifying the military, and possibly stabilizing the economy. A transitional government with Sibanda as vice president could also win international trust. All of this would depend on timing, discipline, and public support. The best outcome for Zimbabwe is not chaos, it's not another coup, it's a peaceful, planned transition. If Chiwenga and Sibanda guide this process, working within the law, respecting the Constitution, and securing public and party support, Zimbabwe could see a fresh start. This new leadership would need to clean up government, reform the police, prosecute corruption, and rebuild the economy. It would be a massive challenge, but under Chiwenga and Sibanda, it's not impossible. As we conclude, remember this: Zimbabwe is at a crossroads. President Mnangagwa's rule has brought more questions than answers. But within the army and political elite, leaders like Chiwenga and Sibanda are quietly watching, waiting, and possibly planning a new chapter. This isn't just politics. It's the future of a nation. Stay tuned, stay informed, and let us know in the comments, do you believe Chiwenga and Sibanda will act before 2030? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more detailed reports on African political dynamics. Thank you for watching.